The introduction of Loki has given us many questions since the start of Elba. He was said to be strong enough to make giants fear his power, and we've been actually seeing the reason for that. He's also the only confirmed criminal to have a special bounty of more than 2 billion berries. Loki has raised many questions. His life during the time Harald was working for Gorosei and how he was able to awaken his conqueror's haki, for example. But I think the biggest question mark has always been which devil fruit he has. Wanna know the secrets in the hands of the only criminal with a special bounty, and the possibility of his devil fruit not even being from the Norse mythology? Then without wasting any more time, let's get to the video. By chapter 1170, we got the confirmation that Loki had eaten a mythical Zoan, which was a treasure in Elba for centuries. One of the first assumptions was Fenrir. Fenrir is a wolf monster and a demigod. He's the son of Loki in Norse mythology, and his destiny is to kill Odin, the Allfather. That is very similar to the One Piece's version of Loki, who ended up killing the King of Helm of Gods when his father was possessed by Imo. And just like Fenrir was chained in order to stop the Ragnarok, Loki was also prisoned in the underworld because of how dangerous his actions could be. Oda also drew a manga colored spread years ago with a giant wolf of similar color tones to Loki. Both were also in snowy places, which made the theory very popular. Though in real mythology Loki wasn't Odin's son, it's pretty clear that Marvel version has become quite influential, and it wouldn't be surprising if Loki we have in One Piece was also inspired by that. Nidhogg is another theory that grew over time, mostly because of how Loki's partial form was used against Holy Knight Herald, which seemed way closer to a dragon than a wolf. That matches the description of Nidhogg. He is a serpent dragon from Norse mythology. It's a creature that gnaws at the roots of the world tree, Yggdrasil. It feeds on corpses of Hel and Nilfgaard and represents chaos and villainy, which was the vision people had of Loki until recently. Nidhogg is also associated with destructive forces, and his nightmare version was using lightning breath, which could also connect very well to Loki's lightning-based attacks. In one of the panels from chapter 1171, Hyrugen saw this dragon and reacted in a very strange way, which gave a lot of people the idea he already knew what Loki's devil fruit was. The dragon appearance overall is actually very similar to what Loki actually has. Both Nidhogg and Fenrir appeared recently due to the use of Killigan's mythical zone, which can turn dreams and nightmares into reality. During the first debut they appeared side by side by nightmare version of Loki as well. That could mean that Oda has already foreshadowed that it will be one of them, or maybe neither. Because the reaction of other giants and the fact that Elba children don't see Nidhogg, Fenrir and Loki's are the same creature, it's also an indication that either they don't know Loki ate the Nidhogg fruit, or their Nidhogg was just a mythical creature and not a devil fruit to begin with. Initially, Loki was presented as a chaos figure and the biggest villain of Elba, but we do know that Loki only fought Harald when Imo had total control over the king and forced him to kill his own people and guards. Loki was very similar to Harald in his youth, and despite being known as a mischievous kid, he was still far away from a villain or a devil. Going by the information we have, the devil fruit Loki ate was not considered a curse or something even in Elwaf. It was actually read to be a treasure protected for centuries by Hagnir and past kings. It wouldn't make much sense for a kingdom so close to Joy Boy to treat devil gods of destruction as some sort of treasure, and we saw that most of these evil creatures were in fact related to the powers of Imo and Gorosei. Loki also had called himself of Sun God while introducing himself to Luffy, and that was a title that he never had or even talked about before getting his devil fruit. You might ask, how is that possible if you already know that Luffy has the Sun God fruit? But that's the thing. Loki never said he was Nika. Instead, he referred to himself using the domain of God he represents, that is, the element of the power he would represent. In Egghead, Vegapunk explained the origin of the fruit. One idea is that each one was created from the desire of people become or having something. That could mean that different cultures create different interpretations and versions of similar gods. We also know Nika comes from distant past, and that because of that, different races and kingdoms have their own versions of the sun god. That was said by the giants at the start of Elba. We saw a similar situation in Skypiea, where the sun god was part of the four gods, but wasn't referred as Nika, and Skypians were even willing to make human sacrifice for it, which contradicts Nika's representation of freedom. The tale of the sun god spread to centuries across the world, and the lack of clear information about the past made the desire of being the sun god change among different species and lands, who believe in different creatures and divinities. So if a Skypian had the desire of becoming their version of a god, it could create a devil similar to what they live, possibly an animal and creature as well, similar to Keshigan, the snake Algar tried to sacrifice his daughter to, which by that moment was also referred as the sun god. Luffy's devil fruit represents the oldest and the original myth of Nika, but don't forget that it is still a product of a devil fruit, created from the desire of becoming the same Nika in the past. Luffy's devil fruit represents the oldest and the original myth of Nika. Going back to Elbaf, that will give you Oda the possibility of adding different creatures from mythology despite having a similar titles. Loki was also the only character with a special bounty, and one of the theories after one was that World Governor purposely lowered Luffy's potential bounty to hide his status as Nika. Across mythologies, there are creatures that connect very well with Loki. They represent the neutral of light and darkness, good and evil, and even the royal symbols of the Prince of Elba. The first creature is Zulong. Zulong is a sun-associated dragon from Chinese mythology. He can represent love and light, but also war and destruction, which matches with Loki's neutral position between good and evil. A good correlation can also be made when we remember that the moment Loki gave up on love was also the moment he covered his eyes, and Zulong is known for creating the night by closing the eyes. Another creature is the center of the four symbols, the yellow dragon Huanglong, who can represent the royal aspect of Loki. The yellow dragon represents the center, the earth element, and the seasonal transitions, similar to what Zulong has control over. It also symbolizes emperorship and balance. This fits Loki's royal status, and again his balance between chaos and order. Loki climbing Yggdrasil can also become a mirror to the path of how the Yellow Emperor became Huanglong, when he became a dragon in order to attain divinity. If you're skeptical of that theory, remember that Kaido Devil Fruit is one of the creatures from the four symbols, the Azure Dragon, and even Marco's fruit is similar to Vermilion Bird represents the fire element. Even though Zulong and Huanglong are different beings, Oda is also known for merging myths when making his stories. Kaido is the perfect example. His fruit is the fish feet fruit model Azure Dragon. It merges the creature of the four symbols with the tail of Longman. The legend says that the carp with strong enough will to climb the waterfall will become dragon, which again does not have a relation to Azure Dragon, but is also another merge of different mythologies. We can consider a third possibility, which is that Oda uses both Huanglong and Zulong as an inspiration to create his own version of those creatures, similar to Nika, who also has similarities with Sun Wukong and Hanuman, which are monkey gods from different cultures such as Indian and Chinese. Fishman Island arc also has foreshadowed Luffy's real devil fruit name when one of the 5 mermaids was named Nika, and that was 100 chapters before. It can also be possible that Oda will choose the names of the other sisters as an inspiration for Loki, for example. Zebak once said he was after 2 special devil fruit, and that being 2 different god fruits would also make perfect sense for that desire, especially if one represents the freedom on its most chaotic way and the other represents the balance and power. Loki's current situation represents the good and evil within himself. His trauma of killing his father and his war against the world government creates 2 paths, one of revenge and chaos and one of freedom alongside Luffy. The goal is the same, defeating evil, but centuries of failed attempts show that even the highest levels of conquerors were nothing but a tool for the Dome Reverse. The Ragnarok has already started. All children of Elbaf are under control by the Holy Knight. Imo has already personified into Gunko, and with his Dome Reverse, not even the mightiest giants are able to rival the power of the devil. Loki and Luffy climb into the Helm of Gods, and the reunion of 2 divine devil fruits is the only way to stop Imo from ruling over the world. Will Loki follow the doomed fate of Rox Zebat, or will he be part of the drums of Joy Boy? Well, that's something that only Oda can answer us. Talking after the video, it took more time than I thought, and if you like the video and want to see more content like that, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have an idea for future videos or want to give some feedbacks, make sure to write them below. Thanks for everything, and bye.